Larry Kudlow Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. So we're going to do some money in politics. We got Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, syndicated columnist Steve Moore, Unleashed Prosperity Hotline, WABC radio host of More Money, which comes right after this show on most of these same radio stations. All right, kids. Liz Peek, I guess I got to go to you first. The Super Bowl's coming Sunday. Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's playing in the halftime show. Bad Bunny. They do not like Donald Trump. But Turning Point USA is going to run its own halftime show with Kid Rock, who does like Trump and plays much nicer music. Who are you going to watch, Bad Bunny or Kid Rock? Big question.
Oh, Larry, what a shame that this, iconic event in all Americans' lives has become politicized like this. I just think shame on the NFL for creating a moment which we should all enjoy, which we should all be celebrating. And instead, we're running to our respective corners, as always, to make a political point. I think it's a shame. I think Bad Bunny was a bad choice, partly because this is America being looked at around the world. Okay, there are a lot of Hispanic and Spanish-speaking people around the world, but this is the United States, and that is not our official language. I object to Bad Bunny, not, frankly, because of his politics. I can't even think of a rock star whose politics, other than Kid Rock, I might enjoy, or Nicki Minaj, but because he sings in Spanish, and he isn't going to make any effort to reach the people in America, the United States, who don't speak Spanish. That's wrong. I think it's very bad for Spanish-speaking people in the United States. I could really I've been writing about this for 20 years. Not encouraging Hispanics in the United States to learn to speak English is relegating them to second-class citizen status. And I think celebrating that at the Super Bowl is preposterous.
Is Bad Bunny, are there songs in Latin or in Spanish?
They're all Spanish. It's all going to be in Spanish.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah. Right. So we don't want to speak English. We want to speak Spanish. Oh, wait a second. Exactly. This is America. I forgot about that. Steve Moore, they're going to stream it. Turning Point USA is going to stream it on their website so you can listen to Kid Rock, who's terrific. I saw him on Fox and Friends. I ran some tape on it in our show. He's terrific, Kid Rock.
Yeah, I kind of wish it was Nicki Minaj who was.
Oh,
because that little routine she did with Scott Bessent. I don't know if you saw it, Larry.
Yeah,
in the Treasury was priceless. Uh-huh. And who knew? On top of Scott Bessent's all of his other talents, he would be such a good dancer. Listen, really, what this is all about is the absolute collapse of music in America. I mean, we all grew up in the '60s and '70s when there was incredible music, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, the Beach Boys. Name one artist, literally one artist today that could come anywhere close to the music that they wrote. I was with my kids and they were playing, what's it, Bad Bunny? We were at home and they put this record on. I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever listened to.
It's crap.
What is this?
It is crap. It's garbage.
They go, oh, this is Bad Bunny. I'm like, who the hell is Bad Bunny? I mean, why is it? No, seriously, why is it that nobody can write good music anymore? It's unbelievable.
Have you ever?
You know who is writing good music, Steve? AI. Did you know that about 2 months ago, this is true, the number one country music song, song was written by AI. Totally.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
this was back in the fall, and I can't even tell you what the name of it was, but it was pretty good. And yikes. I mean, that's a little bit scary, right?
Where's Louis Armstrong?
That's my point about the Grammys, because, the Grammys was last week. And look, they always have, I mean, it was especially bad with the politics. But there wasn't one good song played in the whole 2 hours. Amazing.
We play, on this show, we play Louis Armstrong.
There you go.
We play Frank Sinatra. We play Nat King Cole.
Exactly.
Throw some Ella Fitzgerald in. That's how we come in and out of our segments. But it's bad enough that Bad Bunny's music is bad. But now he spend his time attacking Trump, okay? That's part of it. And Trump, by the way, it's probably stupid because Trump does very well with Hispanic voters. Very well. And continues to do very well. with Hispanic voters. So it's wrong. But now, here's one good thing. There's going to be an ad for the Trump savings account, Steve Moore.
Yay.
Now, this is really important. This is a game changer. Every single day on the show this past week, I've talked about Trump accounts. This is a game changer. You can take people who come from poor backgrounds, you give them put this stuff into the stock market. You see it's Dow 50,000 celebrating it. They can go from poverty to millionaires. They can own from welfare to wealth creation. I mean, this is how important this is. So ads for the Trump accounts is a good thing in the Super Bowl.
Well, who's sponsoring them? Who's paying for the ads?
I don't know.
I'm glad to
somebody.
Hear it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not sure.
Look, we had obviously the red letter day for the stock market yesterday, Dow 50,000, and when the three of us got I don't know, we were maybe about the same age, but when we got first involved in this stuff, the Dow was at 1,000.
That's right.
Around
That's
81,
right.
82.
So
that's a pretty amazing thing, and I do think the thing that really unleashed this bull market, the thing that was the match that lit the fire, and you were there, Larry, was the Reagan tax cuts.
Yep.
And the defeating of inflation in the early 80s. And so I agree with everything I said. I think one of the real tragedies, and I'm going to do a shout out for George W. Bush, who argued 20 years ago we should allow all the Social Security money to be put in personal accounts. And if we had done that, every single American today would be a pension millionaire. And all these people, your friend Paul Krugman, it's too risky to put the money in the market. What a tragedy.
He got his brains beaten in for it, and he was on the right track. He got his brains beaten in for it.
Exactly.
And I talked to him about it several times. He was very, just on that, this is a little sidebar. Don't forget, Bushy, cut the dividends tax, cut the capital gains tax, cut the top income tax rate, right? He was a real supply side president. Okay. He walked into the whole collapse of the mortgage market, and I think that was too bad. But he had done some good stuff. But Liz, I want to come back to these savings accounts because I think they need to be, pushed by the White House, sold. You get $1,000, but families can add to it every year. Employers can add to it every year. And when you look at the tables, Steve Prosperity ran the tables. The 10%, which is about right for the last 100 years, according to Jeremy Siegel's Stocks for the Long Run. 10% compounded will make these folks millionaires. I mean, it's an unbelievable story.
It is, and I think you're right. The White House really needs to hammer this home, and in a broader context, too, which is not just that young kids can end up with some significant money, but in an era when everyone's worried about jobs and AI and how that's going to displace the earning power of some categories of people like college graduates, here's a way to kind of counteract that. And the educational aspect of it is gigantic.
Yes.
I mean, kids graduate from high school not having a clue about what a bank account looks like or how you buy stock or, for that matter, how you can achieve middle-class jobs. I mean, it really is appalling how our kids are being not educated. And this is really a very good step forward.
It sure is. I mean, that's big. With I like that the Dow 50,000 really coincides with the Trump savings accounts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Dave Asman said this on the show last night, and he's right. It sort of adds a little glitter and glow to the possibilities of this story because everybody on the left loves to badmouth the stock market. Do not invest in this. You're right, Paul Krugman, but lots of people do. The front page, the Wall Street Journal stories today, they're all pessimistic stories about the market. Yeah. Nobody talks about profits or productivity. I mean, it's one after another. I don't know what has happened to that newspaper, but whatever. Dow 50,000, markets work, and you'll learn a little bit about how businesses work, right? These kids, if you own these accounts, and they'll keep score. It's like basketball. They'll keep score. Hey, my thing went up. It's endlessly positive. And it may be one of Trump's best things.
Yeah.
Maybe one of
I think
the
it's
best
great.
things.
And you know what? Kids also then have a vested interest in the success of the country. I mean, the stock market is
I love
better
that.
or worse.
I love that.
You know, I mean, the stock market is kind of it's a report card on how well our country is doing. And when the stock market does well, the country
Which it is
always doing well.
It is.
Exactly.
It's a pretty good. You're right. You're 100% right. What does it mean for the midterm? As soon as Karl Rove writes a thing about how bad the economy is, we go here. Republicans have an economy problem. Karl Rove in his column yesterday or the day before, they have an economy problem. Let me get this right: GDP 4 to 5% growth, wages rising faster than inflation. Dow 50,000. Grover Norquist, Grover says 135 million people are in the market. So really, so GOP has an economy problem? I don't get that.
Yeah, I want to do a shout out for all the companies, by the way, that have also put money in these accounts. And Michael Dell, with his amazing philanthropic, what a great way to contribute to America to put, I think, what was it, $5 billion?
$6.5 billion. $6.5 billion. Yeah, and really, remarkable.
You know, if you really want to help people, help young people. If you care about the children, maybe donate some money to these accounts, and then you're talking about some real money for folks. And by the way, when you talk about becoming millionaires, they'll be millionaires by the time they're 35 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By the time they're 65 years old, they're going to have $5 million in these accounts. If the next 40 years is anything like the past 40 years. In fact, I said at Fox News yesterday, if the next 40 years are as good as the last 40 years, we'll be talking about Dow 1 million.
Yeah.
Dow 1 million.
Wow.
Is that how it multiplies out?
Yeah, because when you
did you do it at 10%?
The market's grown 30-fold or something like that since. So it might be even higher than that. So, I mean, this is the power of compound interest.
Liz, to come back to your point, that the late Jude Wanniski, the supply side writer, journalist, I don't know if you remember him or not, but
The Way the World Works.
That's right, The Way the World. It was a good book. It was kind of a crazy guy, but it was a good book, and he had interesting insights. But anyway, he used to always argue that the stock market was the barometer for the health and wealth of the country. Just to come back to your point earlier.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I think it's very important. And I don't know who's going to win the midterm elections. Nobody knows. This is February. The election's in November. But I just think people who are saying how bad things are, maybe because they blame Trump, I don't know. But they are. The stock market at Dow 50,000 is telling you that we are in good shape in this country.
Yeah. I agree. But, Larry, just think about it. Who benefits from things not looking good right now? Obviously, the Democrats. So all of the media that's kind of left-leaning. Right. And I've said this. I know this is truly a dog bites man story. But guess what? The media is really constantly engaged and painting as bad a picture as they can. And the bad news is, it does affect people's mood. It affects people's spending when consumer sentiment plummets because, oh, my gosh, this is going wrong and AI is going to take your job and, all these horrible things are about to happen from tariffs and everything. Guess what? They do pull back on their spending. I mean, it really is – it's really, really unfair to the country to kind of have this 100% negativity out there all the time. And thank heavens that you and Steve and others – are telling a different story because and the great thing about the stock market is it's not like a poll. You don't have to write any kind of rules or regulations about it. It's impartial. It's made up of millions of people voting with their feet and their pocketbooks, and you have to believe it.
Steve, to answer your question about the advertising the Trump accounts, it's an outfit called Invest America, a nonprofit advocacy organization.
I like that.
Invest America, blah, blah, blah. Can I ask you, though, both of you, what do you think about the Trump RX website? He launched that this week, the drastic discounts on prescriptions, et cetera, et cetera. Is this a good thing, Steve Moore?
There are some really good elements to it. There's too many middlemen in you should be able to buy drugs directly from your doctor and cut out the pharmacies and the PBMs and all that, and that would probably cut costs of pharmaceutical prescription drugs. And so I like it. The only thing I do not like, Larry, is I don't like the price controls. I really think that we have been dominant for 40 years, 50 years in the invention of incredible new drugs. I think, like, if you look at the 40 wonder drugs of the last 50 years, I think 35 of them have come from American pharmaceutical companies, and we want to continue to dominate that. But price controls will slow the race for the cure.
This is the most favored nations thing.
Yeah, I'm not wild about that.
Yeah, drug prices are reduced by negotiating most favored nations deals with 14 major pharmaceutical companies. So whatever it is in France, which is a socialist system, or England, which is a socialist system, we have to do it here. I don't know, Liz Peek. Can I
just add one other quick thing on this, which is that what I do want Trump to do, and which he's done a pretty good job of so far, is negotiating with these other countries so they can't undercut American pharmaceutical. In other words, why should the people in France pay less for these drugs than we pay in the United States? That's not fair.
Right.
And Trump's been very good on that.
That, by the way, is a very, very unpopular reality. People don't like the fact that they are subsidizing people in England or France or Canada or whatever by paying exorbitant prices for drugs. I thought this website, and I haven't gone on it, embarrassingly, but I thought it was all about transparency, that you were able to compare prices on various drugs across makers, across sources. Is that not right? Because I thought that was a great idea.
I don't know.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, I like I like what you just said. I don't know. I haven't been on the website either.
Also, I saw that Amazon is hiring a gazillion pharmaceutical people. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
I've always thought that Amazon eventually was going to roll out and become a major player in lowering healthcare costs by making medicines cheaper and more easily available and so forth. I mean, there are really so many things wrong with our healthcare system, including too many middlemen, but also not everything has to be so complicated. So make it easier. Make it easier to go online and order your drugs. And again, I think the transparency aspect of that is enormous.
Have we reached the point where talk about transparency? And Art Laffer is very, very keen on transparency. Right. It's a crusade of his, and he's right. But with respect to doctors, hospitals, operations, things of that sort, do we know what the price menu is? Have we come to that point yet?
Well, you were involved, Larry, in the first term, and Arthur is one of the people who got Trump to sign that executive order about price transparency. So what's happened 5 years later or so is the hospitals and the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies have not been complying with it, and they're just ignoring the executive order. And so my idea, by the way, is no price, no pay. If you don't tell me what it costs, it's free.
How much is a hip replacement? How much is a knee replacement? That kind of stuff.
But Larry and Steve, what they do is they'll give you pricing, and it's so convoluted and complicated. It's like 40 different elements to a hip replacement. Right. They don't say, it's going to cost $60,000. I don't have no idea what a hip replacement costs, but they do not make it easy. They don't want to make it easy.
It's about $20,000.
Yeah.
I've had a couple.
The Larry Kudlow Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.